Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is picking a topic. So for this class, you are writing several essays, and you're picking the topics for them. I'm not. That leaves it wide open what you want to talk about. You don't have to talk about anything dental hygiene related. You can if you want. You can talk about peanut butter and jelly, or ham and cheese sandwiches, or SpaghettiOs. Can you tell it's before lunch and I haven't eaten yet? I don't care what you talk about for these essays. In this class, all I want to see is that you can actually execute the kind of essay that we're going to be talking about. So that's why it's up to you to pick your topics. The other reason that I encourage you to pick your topics is because typically if you pick the topic, then you're going to pick something that you actually want to deal with for however many days or however many weeks that you're going to be dealing with that particular topic. So for example, in English 2, which lasts 6 weeks, you have to pick a topic by the end of the first week, and you have to spend the next 5 weeks working on just that topic. So you need to pick something good. I don't pick it for you. But a lot of the times, the idea of picking your own topic kind of freaks students out because they don't know where to start. That's why we're going to go over 5 guidelines for how to pick your own topic. So often what happens is, and raise your hand, talk to fake me in the classroom or on the computer screen, whatever, but participate if you were the one who had a teacher pick a topic for you in high school, some kind of college, whatever, and you didn't like the topic, you didn't care about it, you didn't want to do it at all. So typically what you ended up doing was procrastinating, and then just to get it done, you would throw whatever was on a page. You didn't do any of the pre-writing steps or post-writing steps or anything like that. You procrastinated up to the very last minute. You threw crap on a page, you handed it in, you got an icky grade, and you were more mad at the instructor than you were yourself. Right? I've done it. I hated that. I used to hate when topics would get picked for me because I didn't want to deal with them. I didn't want to talk about them. So that's another reason why we're going to do this and you're going to pick your own topic. When you pick your own topic, the likelihood of procrastination goes down a little bit. So if you are a procrastinator in the room and 90% of the time you procrastinate, hopefully if you're picking what you want to deal with, that should drop maybe to 50 or 40 or even lower, hopefully. The thing with writing is the earlier you start and the more time you have to work on it, the better it can be because the more chances you've had to have different sets of eyes look at it and edit it and help you. The sooner you start working on an essay also gives you time to switch a topic if you need to, because sometimes you pick a topic and it doesn't work. So one thing I want to get you guys in the rhythm of is checking topics with me. And if I'm not with you and there's a substitute with you, hopefully the substitute can help you kind of walk through topics. Because I've seen a lot of essays of all of these styles that we're doing. And some topics work and some topics don't. And it's the students who never run their topic by me who unfortunately find out the topic doesn't work until it's a little bit too late. So when we get into, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to walk you through the PowerPoints for each of the essays on video, which might be a little weird, but I'm going to have the PowerPoint behind me. We'll talk about some topics that have worked and some that don't. Because sometimes you run the risk of falling into a different essay style. But before you can even get to any of that, you got to pick a topic. So there are 5 ways, little tools that you can use to pick a topic. And when we finish this, if you are at home or if you're in the classroom, there's an activity that I want you to do, whether it's collectively or by yourself, and you'll see how helpful that this can be. So the first one, and again, there's 5, and they're all going to start with the words pick something. So I'm only going to write that phrase the first time, and then you could figure it out from there on out. So the first thing, and sometimes it's the most obvious to people, but you want to pick something you're interested in. And again, it seems a little obvious, and it's like, yeah, duh, no shit. But You need to pick something that you're interested in. If you don't care about it, if you're not interested in it, you're not going to want to spend the time writing it, working on it, editing it, things like that, researching it when we get to that point. If you don't pick something that you like and something you're interested in, that's when you get to the procrastination, crap on a page, bad grade kind of a thing. So we want to steer you away from that we were talking about. So the second pick something is pick something you already know something about. It doesn't mean that you need to know everything about it already, but at least if you pick something that you have a little bit of experience with or a little bit of knowledge about, then it's easier to get started. So often we end up procrastinating, and I say we because me too, but so often we end up procrastinating because we don't know where to start. If you don't know where to start, sometimes it's easier just not to start. Hopefully some of your heads are bobbing right now because I've been there, so I'm sure you guys have been there too. So if you at least already know something about it, you have a place to start. And when you have a place to start, you have a place to keep going and you have some direction. It's those topics that you don't know anything about that can get a little bit difficult. And on the heels of that, I know I'm about to contradict myself. But the third one is pick something you know nothing about. Yeah, I know, that's the exact opposite. Some of these are going to work together and some of these aren't. When I say pick something you know nothing about, sometimes there are some of you who want a little bit more of a challenge. Sometimes students do it to impress instructors. Sometimes they do it out of boredom. Sometimes they do it because they're just the type of student who needs something a little bit more difficult. So that's where this can work for you. So, for example, I was in 6th grade and I had to write a paper. And I was 12 in 6th grade, probably, something like that. So this is about 95, somewhere like that, 1995, something like that. So in 6th grade, I decided to do my research paper on AIDS. And in 1995, we didn't really know, and again, I was in 6th grade, so I was probably a little clouded, but to me as a 6th grader in 95, we didn't really know as much about AIDS as we do now. There were no cures at that point. It was a terminal, as soon as you get it, you're dead kind of a thing. But my mom was always in healthcare, so I was really interested in this topic. So in 6th grade, I do a research paper on AIDS. I get to 7th grade, and once again, we have to do a research paper. So what do you think I picked? What topic? I hope you're saying things, because I don't know otherwise. What do you think I picked? Well, in 7th grade, I thought I was being sly, but in 7th grade with a different teacher, I did another research paper on AIDS. I thought, well, I already know something about it. I already did a paper on it, so this will be easier. It'll be great. So I did a paper on AIDS. So 8th grade comes, and so does the assignment for the research paper. And for the 3rd year in a row, I pick AIDS as my topic. And it's funny because each year I do the paper, my grade gets worse, and I can't figure out why. Because I know so much about the topic, so you'd think I would get a better grade every time. So by the time 9th grade rolls around, now I'm in a different school, because I graduated grade school, now I'm in high school. I'm with a different set of people, but besides that, here comes the research paper, and I'm really sick of talking about AIDS at this point, because I did it for 3 years. So the 9th grade paper comes around, and what topic do you think that I picked? Take some guesses. Okay. In 9th grade, I picked the Cold War. Yeah, if you've watched the previous videos, or if you know me at all, I've already told you how much I hate history, how much I suck at it, and I have no interest in it whatsoever. So I stand here now as an instructor telling you what to do, and as a 9th grader, I broke my own rules. So the first problem was I picked something I wasn't interested in at all, but I didn't know anything about the Cold War, and I wanted to do something so different from AIDS and something challenging because I was sick of talking about that topic at that point. My problem was I wasn't interested in it. So I didn't really care that much, and I procrastinated, and I put crap on a page, and I didn't do well on that paper. And you know what? I still can't tell you anything about the Cold War, because I still suck at it, even though I wrote a paper on it. But sometimes this really, really works for people when you pick a topic you don't know anything about. So, for instance, maybe there's something I am interested in. I actually really like astronomy, believe it or not. When I was in high school, I really excelled at the constellations and naming them in the winter sky and summer sky and stuff like that, and I still remember a lot of it. And it kind of piqued my interest, so I'm interested in it, but I really don't know anything about how the constellations got named. I'm sure there are Greek philosophers or something like that involved. I don't know how many constellations there are, stuff like that. So this would be something that I'm interested in and I know a little bit about. On the flip side, I probably should know stuff about history. So maybe something I don't know anything about, but something I might be interested in. Stephen Hawking is the first thing that's popping into my head. Have you guys ever heard of him? If you watch The Big Bang Theory, you've heard of Stephen Hawking. If you have heard him and you're talking amongst yourselves, if you're in the classroom, good. If not, Stephen Hawking is a physicist and a scientist and an author and a teacher and a really, really super intelligent guy. But he had several strokes and things like that. He is paralyzed from like the nose down. He's in a wheelchair, but as he had more and more strokes with whatever condition he has, his ability to talk and communicate evaporated. So he wasn't able to verbally speak, so then he was writing. He wasn't able to do that. He started losing use of his hands. He was typing, but then he lost the use of that. Well, he and another engineer, a computer guy, got together and they created this software with just by using his eyes, he can communicate with this computer, which then speaks for him. I don't know anything about how that actually happens, how that actually works, how they would even begin to design software like that. But I'm pretty interested in it because I saw it on a comedy show. So maybe I would want to spend some time because what I could do is I could learn about something I don't know anything about already. So there are two more. The fourth one is pick something you actually want to learn more about. How much do you guys think I know about nuclear weapons and nuclear reactors? Go ahead, take a guess. Scale 1 to 10. 10, I know everything. 1, I know nothing. Have you made your guesses? I would probably put myself at about a 0 on a scale of 1 to 10 about how much... No, I take that back. I would put myself at a 1 because I know that they're bad and they blow stuff up. That's all I know about nuclear weapons and nuclear reactors. So, am I interested in it? Not really, but I probably should be because I'm an adult. I don't know anything about it, which could be good, but you know what? I really don't want to learn any more about it. I just want to know if they're pointed at me and they're going to blow me up. That's kind of all I really care about right now, which sounds really horrible. But it means if I have to spend 5 pages talking about it, writing about it, it's not going to come out good because I don't care in my little bubble of a world. So the fifth one, a lot of students find the first one and the fifth one to be the easiest to relate to. So the fifth one is pick something you have a vested, and that's V-E-S-T-E-D, and I printed it so you can see it. Something you could have a vested interest in, and the word vested is the key thing here. So what does that mean? If you are at home watching this, you have the opportunity to pause me and Google that. If not, and you're in the classroom, you might be whispering to each other, which I hope you are, you should be talking. A vested interest, and if you're in the classroom, substitute if you want to put me on pause and entertain ideas for that, go right ahead. Otherwise, a vested interest is something that somehow affects you personally. So, for example, if you have a disease or a condition, so if you have asthma, or if you have allergies, for instance. Anybody have asthma? If you do, if all you know about your asthma is what it feels like when it's bad, what makes it bad, and what medicines to take, you don't know enough about your condition. But if you want to look it up and learn more about it because it affects you, that's a vested interest. So my grandmother passed away Christmas of 2011 of Alzheimer's. I didn't know that much about Alzheimer's at that point. I just knew you lost your memory. But I didn't really know how to deal with a patient or someone who has Alzheimer's. So I had a vested interest in learning more about that topic because my grandmother was suffering and eventually passed away from it. If someone in your family, God forbid, has a type of cancer, and usually this happens with diseases and health things and stuff like that, but if someone is going through pregnancy, or if someone is going through menopause, or if someone is going through not enough testosterone if you're a guy, or ingrown hairs, I don't know. But if someone is going through something or you're going through something, you look it up, you do research on it, you pay attention to it, you want to learn more about it because it somehow affects you. So high school seniors who intend to go to college, writing an essay on how to apply to college is a good idea because they have a vested interest in it because they're going to have to do it at some point. So it's kind of like killing two birds with one stone. So here comes the activity. If you are by yourself, you're going to need a piece of paper, and I will give you the instructions. If you are in the classroom, you can use a piece of paper if you want, but you don't need to because whoever is standing here or here is going to be writing down what you're saying if you're in the classroom. So here's what you need to do. Here are your individual instructions or substitute instructions, depending. Each of you, so if you're by yourself, each of you needs to do 2. If you're in the classroom, you each only need to do 1. So, each of you needs to state, when you get called on, unless you're by yourself, one thing you're interested in. Bananas, dogs, tables, pictures, anything. So each student in the room, if you're in the classroom, is going to have to list one thing you're interested in, one thing you know something about, but it has to be different than what you were interested in. Something you know nothing about, something you want to learn more about, and something you have a vested interest in. So if there are 15 of you in the classroom, multiply that by 5, because you're each going to give out 5 answers, and that's how many things should end up on this board. If you're by yourself, you need to list 2 topics you're interested in, 2 completely different topics that you know a little bit about, 2 different topics you know nothing about, and so on and so forth. So by the end of the activity, you'll have 10 completely different topics in front of you. So what happens is, if you're by yourself, you have your list of 10. If you're in the classroom and you only do 1 apiece, you will have your list of 5 for your own personal contribution. You can then look at that list of topics that you have and cross off the ones that you kind of feel wishy-washy about. So if you have 5 of them in front of you and you're like, yeah, no, I don't want that one. No, I don't want that one. You want to get to a point where you're left with your top 2. And you always want to have 2 topics. The reason for that is you have one that you really, really, really like, and then you have a backup. The reason for that is because in case something goes wrong with that first topic you really, really like, you have already brainstormed and already thought of something that can take its place if the first idea doesn't work. So, you're going to stop this video because this is the end of the lecture part, and if you're in the classroom, you're going to do that activity now. If you're by yourself, you're going to do that activity now and then cross off the things you like. If you're in the classroom, you can cross off the board and see the topics that you end up liking.